Hello and welcome to episode 255. So two double nickel like Michael Jordan of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and let's start off with the Super Bowl, Jace. What were your thoughts?
It's a shame that he got hurt because I feel like just based on his first half performance alone, Odell Beckham got his full narrative rebirth story.
Absolutely.
He had a fantastic
Absolutely.
playoffs and he was awesome in that. He had, 55 yards and a touchdown in the first half.
So, how close did you come on your parlay?
I had three parlays that all would have paid me, I think, $1,900 based on $40. And two of them did not hit because Odell Beckham failed to get 64 yards.
And you had 55.
He had 55. Well, I put every time I did my parlay, I put something I knew was going to happen. I had Cooper Cup touchdown, Odell Beckham touchdown, Rams winning, but not to cover, and then I had OBJ plus 64 3.5 yards over on all because I figured those things were all going to happen, and they
Yeah,
just
I
about
would have
did.
bet those things too.
Yeah. And my one parlay, the one that would have paid a ton, I also had non-quarterback throwing a touchdown. So on $20, I would have won like $1,700 off that one parlay.
Oh,
And it all came down to a knee injury on the turf.
so did you agree with the MVP selection, or would you have gone with somebody else?
Um, I probably would have gone with Aaron Donald.
And I didn't know why they didn't split it. I would have split it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with splitting it. I'd be okay if they had an offensive defensive MVP if it was necessary.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Cooper Cup is just ridiculous, though.
yeah, especially like once OBJ came. I mean, it's incredible how big OBJ was part of that, considering he wasn't even on the team until like week 11.
Yeah. And that's why I thought OBJ was going to have a big day, because I said they're going to try to take Cooper Cup away, and OBJ will run wild. I thought he'd have like 100 yards.
He may have by the end of the first half if he hadn't gotten hurt,
Yeah.
because he was on fire. He was catching everything, and that was the turning point in the game. Like once he went down, the Bengals came back, and then we talked about all the adjustments, and it seemed like whatever that adjustment was in the second half, where they pulled Von Miller out a little bit more, and had the center have to pull towards Aaron Donald, and just opened up, and they were just destroyed, and then destroyed Burrow at the end for the rest, like seven
Yeah,
sacks
that
in the
was a
second
great
half.
halftime adjustment. That was very, very well done.
Yeah,
Because
and
Aaron Donald was a very quiet first half.
he was, and it did seem like he came alive when that guy swiped him in the head on his, sort of lame Joe Burrow sack where he just pushed him out of bounds.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Burrow had absolutely no time.
no.
And I mean, they shut down Chase too.
Although you saw Chase was wide open for a touchdown on that last play.
You know, they couldn't get to him. And he almost pulled that off. That pass that he flipped
Yeah,
when he was going down, that was pretty close.
it really was. I mean, I know the big story on Monday. We had the two stories coming out of the Super Bowl that were the, I guess, long term ones. The first was, does this make Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer? Which, did you see what Richard Sherman said?
No, but my answer would be no.
Yeah, Richard Sherman was like a hell no, and he gave all this data to back it up. And I think like lots of sports, like when you change all the rules and now it's 17 games, soon to be 18 games. It's a passing league now. You can throw over the middle with ease. You can live over the middle where you used to not be able to. I don't know how you quantify, 60,000 yards. You know,
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know how you do it either.
I mean, if you're a long-term starter in the NFL, you're going to have ridiculous numbers. And then, I mean, Stafford obviously got his Super Bowl. I don't think he played great in that game by any stretch.
No, he played good enough. I mean, he made the adjustments, and he and Cooper on that last drive were really, that was a great drive.
It was. And then the other one, which I guess is technically more relevant to us as Steeler fans, is do you think the Bengals get back?
Depends on what they do with that offensive line. I mean, that offensive line is just hideous. I mean, hideous.
Well, as people
So
pointed out,
I guess in reality, it was almost as bad as the Steelers' offensive line.
pretty close. As people pointed out, I mean, the Bengals organization is still incredibly cheap.
Yes.
They don't have the best medical staff. They don't have a great scouting department. And, you can say it's streamlined or you can say they're cheap, depending on, is it a cozy house or a small house kind of situation. And, just like every team, you've got, a returning Lamar Jackson, who I do feel like is pretty underrated at this point, a former MVP that can get it done. Mahomes, Josh Allen, and I thought Buffalo may have been the best team this year.
Mm-hmm.
You still got Herbert. You still got Mac Jones and Bill Belichick. You still have either Zach Wilson or, Trevor Lawrence, who I feel like one of those guys is going to rise above. So it's still a murderer's row in the AFC. It'll be interesting.
I really like Burrow, and I think he's I like him. I think he's elite, but you got to protect him. I mean, they tied the Super Bowl record for sacks.
Yeah.
And did it basically in the second half.
Completely in the second half. And think about the Bengals and their recruit and their small scouting staff and their cheapness. I just call it what it is. Right now you have Chase on a rookie deal. Higgins is still on his rookie deal. Burrow's on his rookie. You have all these guys that they drafted really high that were sort of can't miss prospects. And now you're going to be drafting later down, and you're going to have to get somebody that can understand the cap and get these guys, while still adding, which is not going to be, for an organization that's not been the best run.
No.
That's sort of the concern,
Absolutely it is. We'll see where it goes.
And the other great thing about the NFL now is it's mock draft season.
Yes, it is. How many mock drafts we can have between now and the draft? Over under 100.
Oh, I think, just like everybody wants their moment, and everybody's streaming now, everybody's got their own channel, everybody's got their own brand, everybody's got their own mock draft. I don't have mine. I'm surprised I don't, but I don't do that kind of stuff. I do pay attention, though, because I do care. It is exciting.
You and I were going back and forth offline. I do not want the Steelers to take a quarterback in the first round. I want an offensive lineman.
I tend to agree. I'm kind of okay with either rolling the dice with, like I said, I talked to you in a text, like Marcus Mariota's a free agent, Tyrod Taylor's a free agent. You got Rudolph, you got Haskins. Like, just go with the poo-poo platter at quarterback this year. Don't trade away any of your draft picks this year because you already got very few. And just, do the best you can. Now, one thing the Steelers did this week that I do love is the Brian Flores hire.
I did love that as well.
I mean, it's good to see a guy that, people were saying he may never get a coaching job again, get a coaching job. And, maybe
he's a good defensive coach.
He's a good defensive coach.
And hopefully Tomlin will let him run the defense.
And with Hayward, Highsmith, Watt, Fitzpatrick, our boy Sutton, and a couple other guys, maybe he can really turn that defense, get it really, really going. So,
yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
It'll need to because there's going to be a lot of 3 and outs next year.
It's true. Unless they find some absolute monster in the draft somewhere. Well, last night and the last few nights, NBA All-Star Weekend, Ed.
Yeah.
And we talked offline. My favorite...
Offline, and I think we both agree that tweaking the skills challenge and making it a team thing and adding some cool events to go with it, I thought it really livened the event, made it a lot of fun.
And you love a guy like Giannis hooking up with his brothers and competing, knowing that he might not win. Because it wasn't really, Antetokounmpo probably the best skills for them.
No.
But I love that he's the kind of guy that he's got sort of that old school mentality. Like they said, with Ben Simmons and his free throws. Like, Giannis didn't care. And he ended up making 19 of 20 in a game 5 and going for 50. Like, Giannis just does his thing. And him and his brothers competing was fantastic.
I loved it. I loved the rookies playing together.
Yeah, and the young Cavs playing together.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's, obstacle courses and, half-court shots, but they did it really well. It was really enjoyable.
The only thing I would criticize is the scoring. If you get 3 events in each 100, 100, 200, whoever wins that third event is going to win. I mean, it's going to be in the finals. That's just the way it is. You could win the other 2 and somebody just ties you by winning one event. So I think the scoring is a little whacked out.
Yeah, but hopefully they can
I
tweak
think
that.
they need to tweak the scoring, maybe give points for different things as part of that, rather than just 100, 100, and 200. That just doesn't make sense to me.
No, and then the other thing in the up and down court obstacle course, like is I think it was Kenny was yelling. He's like, just chuck those balls because they don't matter. Like the shot should matter.
Absolutely, you should get penalized if you don't make the shot.
Yeah, because basically none of the teams actually took advantage of it. But you get 3 shots from like inside the free throw line and 3 shots from the 3 point line. And Kenny was just going, just chuck them because they don't matter. Like if you don't hit your first one, just throw the other two like crazy.
Yep.
But like you said, there should be along with the scoring. But overall, really nice event.
Well, I didn't think I was going to like the first one to make the half court shot, but I did.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of being.
I thought 9.9 seconds was going to hold up to it.
Yeah, it also reminded me of just all those stupid days of basketball practice the last 5 minutes, just goofing off.
Yeah.
It's like first person to make a half court shot doesn't have to run the laps, whatever it is, or doesn't have to run suicides. Like,
Yeah, I like that a lot.
and you were a big 3 point contest fan.
Love the 3 pointer. Love the fact that Carl Anthony Towns won.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Now, do you like the Sprite ball from deep for more points and
The Mountain Dew ball.
yeah, the Mountain Dew, sorry, Sprite or Mountain Dew.
It's a nice way to get the sponsor involved. Yeah, I guess it's, from that point in time. As a sport marketer, yeah, it's an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
It's ugly ball though.
No, I mean it throws out any old records you could possibly have between the rack that's full of 2 point balls at the end and then the extra balls, but it doesn't take away from what the contest is, which is just make as many threes as you can in 60 or 70 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought the guys in it were, that was pretty good. 29, 26, 26. That's pretty good. You can't look for much more than that.
No.
It's like the other night I was watching the College Jeopardy thing, and there was 3 people. 2 were tied, and the other one was $200 behind. And that's the closest I'd ever seen Final Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And it made for Final Jeopardy being much more exciting because there's a guy, and I know this is an aside, but I want to talk about it for a minute. The guy that's killing everybody. He's killing Harvard, Yale, Princeton, killing all the Ivies. Kennesaw State in Georgia.
Nice.
And the guy's a freaking genius. Looks like he crossed a genius with a potential serial killer.
Oh.
And a nerd. It's like a third. But he's crushing it. And I mean, I would be embarrassed if I was some of those universities and this Kennesaw State guy's killing them. Because it really goes to prove that, sometimes you give so much weight to the university and not the person. And this kid would be a genius wherever he went. I mean, he's ridiculously smart.
That is nice.
Yeah.
I guess we can go.
I'm going to have to watch it Monday night or tomorrow night to see if he wins. Because tomorrow night's the finals.
Yeah. And I don't know if we said this before, but as long as we're on Jeopardy, like, I keep hearing them wanting to try to change it. I just don't think Jeopardy is a show for everybody, and I think that's fine.
I do too.
Like, you're not going to bring in, like, the show has its audience, and you're not going to get a greater audience. You're just not. That's okay. It's not going to be Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You're not going to make Jeopardy into that kind of show, no matter who the host is. Like, so don't do it.
Mahi Owen, whatever her name is from the Sheldon Show.
Yeah, Makeem Bella.
She was the host.
Yeah,
and I thought she's the best host out of anybody I've seen.
Including
Alex Trebek.
Oh, since Alex. I was like, including Alex.
Yeah, she's really good.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I think they should give her the gig full time. She's really good.
If she wants it, I know she's got her own. She's got a sitcom too, I think.
Yeah, I mean she's really good.
Okay, well that's good to see. I did see they had the college championships on Hulu when I was about to put it on the other day.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I mean, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not planning on watching the All-Star game tonight. I just don't like that format. I mean, it's just nobody's playing any defense. It's not really like you're playing for anything.
No.
Like if you're playing for home court advantage like you do in baseball, when there's something for real on the line, I think it matters. But, the baseball All-Star game's legit. This one's not legit, but it's still a hell of a lot better than the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl is always going to be the worst one, just because of the nature of what football is, and you're asking people that some people haven't played in weeks to
Yeah.
potentially end their career in a All Star game that nobody watches. Along that, nobody watches Twitter, NBA Twitter in particular, and it seemed like the people in the stands. Nobody likes the dunk contest anymore.
The dunk contest has just passed itself by.
It really has. Like we talked about offline, we've long since given up the days you're going to have in his prime Michael Jordan going against in his prime Dominique Wilkins with still playoff contending Sean Kemp. Like, those days aren't going to happen anymore. But I also think just, the human body can only do so many things. And the dunk contest is now, you have to go back to the 80s. It's almost, 40 something years old, right? Of dunk contest.
I remember the very first one I went to when I first started working at the NBA.
Yeah.
It was the Vince Carter one in Oakland. And I was sitting right on the baseline where they were doing the dunks. And I was excited to watch it. I was thrilled. I thought it was super. I like when Dwight Howard did the Superman stuff. But we've gotten to the point where it's like you and I said offline. It's been done. I don't know what else you can do. You're just recreating something that's already been done.
Yeah. And again,
I think that's part of the problem. You can't make it fresh. You can't make it different.
No.
You're just waiting for somebody to recreate something else.
Yeah, I was trying to, on my mind, think of ways you could possibly. And the only thing I could possibly come up with is if you played it like a game of Magic the Gathering or Pokemon cards, where you had, random judges, right? And you had celebrity Dominique and Michael Jordan, and you had all these dunks, and you were just playing old dunks against each other, and new people were judging the old dunks and seeing who had the better dunk of the two people, and you have to strategically decide when you're going to drop, the Jordan from the free throw line, because you can only have so many 50 dunks in your deck or whatever. But again, that's a little bit, nerd concept for people. I don't know how you refresh it. I don't think you can.
You kind of make it like a horse game, where you show a video of one of the great winning dunks.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And somebody has to do it. If they don't, they get a letter, and then they foul out, and they're done.
I would watch that over that for sure.
You just, you've got to just try and shake it up. And they did it with the skills competition. We both agree they don't need to do anything with a 3-point contest.
No.
But this needs either to be reformatted, reprogrammed, or canceled.
And again, like one of the dunks this year, for instance, if you didn't watch, a guy dunked in a pair of Timberlands.
Yeah.
And I'm not, my career ended before I even got to college, but when I worked at that basketball camp, I was able to dunk in a pair of flip-flops. If you can dunk, you can dunk, and dunking in a weird pair of shoes isn't going to change. It's if that's the bottom of the barrel we're at, we've dug beneath the barrel.
Yeah.
In the celebrity game, the people that like celebrity game are going to watch celebrity game.
No, who was the star of the celebrity game?
I only watched the highlights. Myles Garrett was just throwing people's shit into the stands and really going all out. So.
Yeah, I did see a couple blocks at the end. They were pretty outrageous.
Yeah. And then the last thing I watched that you didn't watch is they took the 75 greatest players of all time. They added 4 more players to it. Not officially, but just for the point of the draft. And then they had a bunch of teams draft their teams based on, And like I said, Dominique Wilkins drafted himself first overall. Michael Jordan didn't go till 3. LeBron didn't go till 4. I'm really sorry I can't remember who went 2, but it really wasn't interesting. But the other problem is there would seem like there was no point in doing it, You had 60 seconds between picks. Nobody really had a chance to get any material out. You didn't really get a good glimpse of who the player was. It was kind of like a quick fire, look, we drafted 10 guys. And I don't really see what the point of it was, other than to fill up time.
Yeah.
I know in the first round, Dwayne Wade's team drafted Shaq, and then Shaq drafted Dwayne Wade. So it was that kind of vibe, too, in case you were wondering. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Sometimes they just force stuff. I mean, they have to fill up a lot of program content,
Very much so.
and then sometimes maybe they'd be better off with less.
Yeah.
That made it intriguing, made it great. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, like I said, I think the Pro Bowl and maybe some of the NBA can do this too. Like, I think back to, growing up watching the Real World Road Rules Challenge, some of those stupid things. I just assume watch them do some of those stupid things, goofy relay races and spelling bees and, jumping off of things that you can't really get hurt. I mean, at this point,
Yeah, it's got a lot of good things going for it, but it needs some work. And we both think that how they reworked the skills challenge really made it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And how they, I'm curious as to how they put those three rookies together. If they just said, hey, you three are going to do this, or people volunteered, whatever.
Yeah.
And the Honest Brothers and the Cavs. I mean, I thought that was a lot of fun.
It was. And, I guess we should also point out the young Cavs won the skills competition. And, Garland, Mobley, and I mean, that's a really nice nucleus they have. And one LeBron James, who's obviously not having a very fun time in LA right now, said that he would like to go back to Cleveland maybe someday.
And he wants to play his last year with Bronny.
Yeah.
Which will be 2 seasons from now.
And who wouldn't want to play with the young Cavs? If you could play with Allen, Garland, and Mobley as your trio of young guys to play with?
Mm-hmm. Unless,
of course, LeBron forced his way there and traded 2 of them away for, the corpse of Chris Paul at that point and somebody else. Who knows? But
well, the one thing about LeBron is he really wants to play with Bronny, and money's not going to be in the decision. It's the opportunity to play with Bronny.
Yeah.
So, the interesting thing to me is, let's say Bronny's not really a first-round NBA pick.
Which is very possible.
Maybe he's a second-round pick. Maybe he's not even a second-round pick, okay? And let's just say LeBron still looks like he's got something in the tank. Do you draft Bronny so you get a year with LeBron?
I mean, obviously, if I'm drafting after pick 15, sure, why not?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And
so
then,
it's kind of interesting. He's put that out there. So, I mean, I'm not saying he can play what he's going to be like in 2 years. I mean, he still has it this year when he's healthy.
Yeah.
So, that's what
well,
I'm saying.
His face when Anthony Davis went down again for it looks like another 4 weeks pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
With his,
Absolutely.
Because again, I know Russ is taking, the majority of the heat because he's analytics team's least favorite player of all time. But Anthony Davis, I think, has been one of the biggest, like somebody pointed out, like a few years ago, if you were doing top 5 players in the league, Anthony Davis might be there, right?
Right.
At least based on.
But he's not there now.
Is even now you could argue is even a top 5 big, because you're not taking him over Giannis, you're not taking him over Jokic, you're not taking him over Embiid. I think you could argue you'd keep Towns because Towns is healthier. Kevin Durant is 7'2". I don't know why he doesn't count as a big. I mean, and then you got the guys like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen who's just killing it this year in Cleveland. Like, I don't know where you would take. I mean, even amongst just the bigs, I don't know where Anthony Davis fits anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not, and he's never healthy.
No, he's not top, and even if he is healthy, he's not top 3. He might not even be top 5.
No, I agree with you. The people you lined out, I would take every one of those over him. Every one.
It's crazy, but yeah, that's where we've gotten.
All right, well, living in Tampa, the story is Tom Brady just saying that he's retiring because he doesn't like Bruce Arians and he's going to sign somewhere else next year?
I could see it.
And is that somewhere the 49ers? Which is where he grew up.
Yes.
Playing at home.
And that's a team that's close.
Where we grew up, and that was the team he rooted for.
I mean, from what I've heard, I know they said in an interview with Jerry Rice, and they asked him if he thought Trey Lance was ready, and he said no, pretty definitively.
Well, what do you give up for Tom Brady since you have to give the Bucs something? I mean, how deep do you go?
I mean, I don't want to offer them any of my players because that's a really good team,
You'd be like the Rams and offer them picks for the next millennium.
but you don't really have. You traded away you traded away this year and next year's first round picks for Trey Lance, so you don't even have those. I don't know. I mean, it depends on what they want, and you get Gronk as part of the deal. You know,
You got Kittle, so you don't really need Gronk.
you don't need Gronk, but don't you need Gronk?
I don't know.
As good as if I could have Kittle, because Kittle does not stay on the field that often, and neither does Gronk. If I could have one of those guys in my tight end 6 to 18 games a year, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And I think Shanahan would love doing 2 tight ends and Debo Samuel out there as my my weapons plus a back in the backfield. That's pretty devastating,
Well, that was going to be my fun story to watch for the year.
Yes.
Is he or isn't he? And if he isn't, where is he going to end up?
And then I guess we can.
I'm already tired of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think he's going to stay in Green Bay.
Well, he's not going to marry Shailene Woodley, so he's got no reason to go to California now.
Yep. So I don't know what's going to happen with Russell Wilson, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah. And Russell Wilson's one of those guys that I think when you really take a look at what he's done in the league, right? You had the Super Bowl win where they basically ran the ball the entire time. And then the Super Bowl where he threw the interception. And those are obviously 2 fantastic years. You can't take that away from him.
Right.
But if you look at what else he's done in the league, he feels like he's way closer to like maybe in the nicest way possible, more like an Eli Manning career than a Peyton or a Brady, where he gets thrown into like the elite group. Like, he's had a lot of losing seasons for a guy that is supposed to be one of the elite quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And when he won, that first team had the Legion of Boom, the greatest, with the Seattle's greatest defense ever, plus a monster Marshawn Lynch season. He was just kind of at the wheel, not scaring the car, I'm not sure if I'm a franchise, I'm not sure I'd want to give rest of my future for a 30-something-year-old. It seems like always unhappy Russell Wilson. And if I'm Seattle, I might be okay.
Well, let's see that. It's gonna be an interesting story. We'll see. A lot of it should play out before the draft.
Yeah.
Or during the draft. So we'll see how it goes.
And then in the other news of, the man who never gets mentioned, Deshaun Watson, apparently he wants to go to Minnesota. Or where was the other location? I thought Minnesota was an odd one.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want to.
In a dome.
With Justin Jefferson as your receiver and Thielen. That's pretty nice.
Yep.
And you got Dalvin Cook in the backfield. So. But again, as desperate as the Steelers are for our quarterback, like, that's the guy, like, I don't want to root for him.
No. Nobody's going to touch him until he gets the lawsuit settled.
No. And then once the lawsuit's settled, like, I still don't want to root for him. That's a lot of ladies.
It is. Well, we can talk about Major League Baseball, but there isn't any.
Nope.
And all the games have already been canceled through March 5th. I'm going to say that I don't think opening day starts on time. And it's going to piss off even more people because nobody understands why they can't get this deal done. Then I'm going to talk about the Olympics, and I'm going to say I didn't watch 1 minute just because I'm so disgusted with it. It's become so political and so cheat-centric that I don't even care.
No. And, like I said, I think I said it on the thing, and I know somebody tweeted it too, like, until you put a regular person into all these sports that I never had experience growing up with, like, I don't know how good the person is. I'm sure they're really good, but it's all these bizarre things I've never seen anybody do. I never knew anybody growing up that did them. I'm not even sure if I can quantify how good you are at what you do. So it makes it kind of boring for me.
What else we'll talk about?
Well, going back to baseball, like, obviously, you look at the numbers, they're seemingly doing okay still. Owners are still making enough, they're clearly still making money, right? And players are getting giant contracts and turning down giant contracts. But where is baseball, just, if you were to guess, in, let's say, 15 years?
Behind soccer.
Because they already feel like, your generation, obviously, I mean, and you in particular, you were a giant baseball fan. It seems like you've even soured a little bit in the last couple of seasons.
Totally, totally sorry.
And, my generation, like, I was already pulling towards football and basketball. And, once I got away from baseball cards, I sort of stopped following baseball for the most part. And I know the generation below me, I don't know a lot of young people that are into baseball.
No, it's going to be the NFL, the NBA, and soccer. And by soccer, I'm not saying MLS. I'm saying soccer.
Right.
It could be the Premier League. It could be MLS. It could be anything. But it's going to be more popular than baseball. There's no question.
Because again, you just look at, I mean, I read some article just talking about like somebody was retiring from the industry and they were talking about how they remember when there was 3 channels. And now you have not just so many channels, subscription services, but I mean, I have a backlog of movies and TV shows that I genuinely want to watch that I haven't had time for. I have video games that I genuinely want to play that I own that I haven't been able to touch, and books and things along those lines. Like there's just so much content out there, and that's not even counting
It's overwhelming.
if you and the younger generation loves watching TikTok videos and challenges and all
I've been
that.
paying for BritBox for 8 months and I haven't watched it in 6.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're baseball and you're starting to fall behind the 8 ball now, like I don't know how you regain. I mean, and especially a sport that even amongst the people that love baseball, we're talking about how it had issues as far as viewing it. As far it's like it's a little bit slow. They don't market it great. They haven't done a lot for the youth. It's a scary situation for.
And it's not set. I mean, still playing 162 games is too many games. The games aren't all important.
No.
It's just overwhelming. It's not as relevant.
And again, if you're a kid, if you're a kid and you're an fan and you're in an NFL city, like for whatever reason, even as bad as the Jags were last year, you can be like, well, we got Trevor Lawrence. The Bengals were bad, every couple of years, and nobody moves up with the quarterback, and then you just go. Whereas baseball, as a Pirates fan, like you're just hoping all of the stars align, and you maybe get one run before everybody leaves your team for greener pastures, and then just the system where
Yeah.
If I was a Yankee fan or a Red Sox fan,
I'm looking now at the Pirates. I'm hoping they're competitive in 24.
Yeah.
And they're really good in 25. And then they can run till 26 or 27. And that's it.
That's it. So
that's it.
And again, like, we talked about, the goofiness of the NFL draft and mock drafts, but like when you're talking about the NBA draft or the NFL draft, a guy is going to come on your team who's going to get playing time from day one.
Yeah.
And with baseball,
you're waiting 5 years, 6 years sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
rarely is it less than 2.
And you're hoping the high school shortstop they drafted 6 years ago is now ready to play in the major. Like, and you remember him? Like,
yeah,
it's got a lot going against it, and they're not helping themselves with all the strike stuff.
Not at all. How about entertainment? What do you got for entertainment? Anything?
I watched the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix, and I know a lot of people on social media are talking about it, and it's just not very good. It seems like they tried to cut and paste from other successful movies. Like they bring back once again, supposedly, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is either 73 or 74. I forget which year it came out in. But the original, last girl who got away from Leatherface is back, much like Laurie Strode in Halloween. And she's a badass, 70-year-old woman with a shotgun. There's still the original Leatherface, who's now, at a minimum, in his 70s. Is still able to go around and beat everybody's ass, and without, I don't know what kind of supplements he's taking, but, it just...
Yeah.
And Rolling Stone wrote an article I read today, and it basically just said, please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop trying to reinvent. Please stop all the remakes and the reboots, and just give us something new.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things to be done. So to keep trying to remake it over and over and over again. I mean, the new Batman looks intriguing to me.
It does.
So I'll probably try that one, even though, there's been more Batman movies in the last 20 years of my life than in the first 50. So, but I will probably watch this because actually the Batman costume looks pretty much like the original Batman costume.
It does.
when the character was first introduced. So that's something I'll check out.
But I know there's two movies. Alex Garland, who directed and wrote Ex Machina and Annihilation, which are two of my favorite movies. He has a new movie coming out called Men. And then, although they showed more, the original trailer for Jordan Peele's new movie Nope, it showed a scene from like a quick clip of Get Out, a quick clip of Us, and then it said Jordan Peele, and it said Nope. And I was excited, more excited than any of these reboots or remakes, because I was like, I like Jordan Peele. I think he makes good movies. I'm excited. I don't need any more. Like we need more of that, whatever that is.
Okay. I watched the last of the James Bond movies, and true to form. I mean, Daniel Craig is not my favorite James Bond, but he does a credible job. It's a good story, even though it's part of Thunderball, which, Ian Fleming's only written so many novels, I think 9, and there's been probably 20 movies, so they're going to be repeating some of the book stuff. But it's a good job and a very surprise ending. I told Jason offline what the ending was, and I won't talk about it here. So if you haven't seen it, it's a very, very surprise ending.
Oh, and obviously, our love of Oliphant and Justified on this show, right?
Right.
I'm almost tempted to watch the Book of Boba Fett, because apparently he plays one of the bounty hunters. And he's in like 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's enough to. I love Oliphant. I think he's a great actor.
And I didn't see him in it, but they showed the cartoon, like the comic book version of the guy he's playing. And he looks a combination of Justified meets The Man with No Name in Space from the Clint Eastwood trilogy. And I was like, you're kind of pulling on me.
Yeah.
I still got that Disney Plus. I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
So if you're an Oliphant fan, I mean, you can find him in that. So kind of exciting.
Yeah, really. Mom and I have been watching Abbott Elementary.
I love Abbott Elementary.
And we think that's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
And I think it's believable. I think it's funny. I think that's how kids act. I think it's real. So I would recommend that one for people.
I know the writer and creator of Abbott Elementary worked in a school. And it's pretty clear she worked as a teacher at a school. Because it's... Yeah. And it's legitimately funny. And I think all the people in it enjoy all the characters.
I do too. It's a good cross-section. And they talk about real things. And it's been fun.
And not that this is always a negative, but I think they also do a good job of... It's a sitcom, so it's funny. And granted, some of the things should make you slightly sad when you hear them, but they do it all in a funny way. They never get too soapboxy, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, they acknowledge all the hardships and all the crap teachers have to go to, but they do it in a way that, you can laugh at as much as... That's sad to say.
And I would assume that the principal that she used to work for in the real school...
Yeah.
Isn't real comfortable watching that show.
No. Well, I can say, having taught in 2 schools, I never had a principal exactly like that, but neither of the principals I had seemed like they were all that concerned about anything other than numbers and where they could go next in their career. It seemed like they were less concerned.
There you have it, people.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of jobs where it's like, this looks good on my resume to get me to next point, whether it's superintendent and then superintendent to some form of government. Like, it seems like that's the ladder, and people aren't looking at it, this is where I'm going to go and make a difference in the world, as so much as this is a step I can take to get to the next step. And that is what it is. Yeah. And neither of us had a food moment, right?
No, I don't think picking up a slice at Whole Foods doesn't qualify as a food moment.
No, we are doing we're eating whatever we want now from this weekend till Fat Tuesday, and then we're going to do a giant healthy purge for, we're not religious, but we're just going to do it for the 40 days and see where that takes us. So I did have had a Cadbury egg today, and I love the Cadbury egg.
You still love the Cadbury egg?
I still love the Cadbury egg. I do.
Okay.
I like the weird looking goo inside the chocolate. It's delicious. Can't go wrong.
I'm doing a lecture tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on the future of sports. And it'll be webcast, and I put the link out on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So if anybody would like to join, I'm doing it for Geo Institute in Mumbai, and so it's a webcast that'll be available to anybody in the world.
Nice.
So we'll be talking about what I think the world's going to look like in 30 years. In the next 10 years, I'm sorry. And one of the things you'll like, Jace, is that, you know, I don't know if you've seen it yet. Have you seen the metaverse video that Zuckerberg did?
Oh, yeah.
Talking about what okay. So leading up to that, I showed a clip from Disclosure, which is the first time I saw what people thought augmented virtual reality was going to look like.
Technology does not age well in movies, does it?
No, but it's kind of funny. Then I showed a clip from Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And then the metaverse clip. So I'm going to talk about, you know, we don't know what it could be. I mean, we don't know what it's going to be. It's just interesting to see that we've been thinking about it for more than almost 30 some years.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
we're still not there yet.
Like we talked about in the past, like I have an Oculus Quest 2. If at some point I can be inside Tom Brady's helmet watching the game, experience as the quarterback, I'm gonna do that. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
well, remember Disclosure? He's wearing the headset. It's tethered, and he's on the treadmill.
Oh yeah.
As he walks through. I mean, but if you think about it, at that time, that looked really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this when he's going through shelves and doing things, and he comes he almost falls off. It looks like he's going to fall off a cliff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
And if you want a similar laugh, although the issues of, you know, identity theft and all those things are still there, like Sandra Bullock's The Net is pretty awesome for a laugh too at this point in your life. Watching her as a computer specialist, you know, losing all her belongings online and getting hacked and not being able to, you know, exist in the world without a social media presence, which is pretty ahead of its time at the time, but now looks really, really silly.
Yeah. Well, we'll be doing more and more NBA coverage, more and more NCAA hoops. I've been watching with this elite softball tournament in Clearwater, and it's been on. ESPN's really investing in softball since they had the Women's College World Series.
Okay.
And they've been showing every game, and it's almost most of the top 10, top 20 teams are all in this tournament in Clearwater.
Ooh.
It's just a round robin kind of thing. Each team plays 5 games.
Okay.
But that's been a lot of fun to watch. And I've been spending a lot of time on ESPN platforms checking it out. And, you know, I'm enjoying my ESPN Plus for $4.99 a month.
Yes.
I get a lot of other things I get to see in that. So, I don't know. Everybody have a good week. We'll keep scaring out for some interesting things.
And if you guys have topics,
talk a little bit about my lecture tomorrow on the show next week.
And obviously, tweet at my dad any topics you want to hear, because we like, you know, we'll talk about anything. So,
even things you don't want to talk about.
All right.
All right, everybody, have a good one.